Hello guys, and welcome to the Lakeforest Mall here in Gaithersburg. We're here for one last look. Well, for the first time on my channel, and one of the last times you guys will ever see on YouTube, as this mall prepares to close its doors on March 31st. Now, I was here back in mid-January on my Baltimore trip, and it was January 15th when I was here. And personally, I gotta say, this was a nice mall, and it's sad to see it go. It's gonna be demolished and everything, but this mall's definitely, when I was here, it was definitely on its last legs. You could definitely tell that. Sadly, it's just... By the way, guys, I got a comment really quick. That's funny how this mall had a timeout zone. We could go into timeout. I don't know why I found that so funny, but that just is. But in any event, so... The Lakeforest Mall opened September 12th, 1978. It was a Taubman Mall, which if you guys know Taubman Mall, they made some very aesthetically pleasing malls, and this mall definitely has aesthetics. No doubt. Its current managers, as we speak, are Purity Richardson Ventures. But yeah, when this mall opened up in 1978, the mall's anchors were JCPenney, Sears, Woodward, Lothrop, and Hess's. The mall was named in honor of Lake Walker, which was a man-made lake and park on the property prior. So that's kind of cool how they use the property name to come up with the mall. They don't always do that for malls, but this one they did. The mall was approximately 30 to 50 stores. Obviously, it would expand later on, because this mall is massive in size. By the way, some of the first stores they were relocated from the nearby Indoor Village Mall, now an outdoor strip mall called Montgomery Village Center. So this mall, for a while, was the dominant mall in Gaithersburg and killed the other mall. By the way, guys, we look at right now is the plants in front of the JCPenney, one of my favorite spots of the mall. And you'll get a better shot of that later on in the video. But this mall overall has another unique feature, and it was one of the first malls in the country to feature a indoor ice skating rink on the lower level in the H section, along with being the biggest indoor shopping mall of the country when the mall opened. So this mall was massive and was very busy, and it's really sad to see it in this state. By the way, guys, what you're looking at straight ahead is the Macy's, which you guys didn't see. I put that video up previously. This is one of the Macy's that's closing this year, which was the last anchor at this mall. We'll get into that later on in the history, like I said. But sadly, the ice skating rink didn't last, obviously, and it became a multi-theater movie complex, and then it became the food court, which now occupies the space for the next 50 days. And there wasn't really much history left for the rest of the 70s, but then in 1984, like I mentioned about the ice skating rink, that's when it closed. The ice skating rink only lasted 6 years here, which is kind of sad. Now, in 1995, the Woodfield and Lothrop at the mall closed and was replaced by a Lord & Taylor a year later. And also, guys, the Lakeforest Mall in the 90s added some noticeable restaurants to the not to the food court, but as big-time restaurants, and they were Friendly's and Long John Silver's. Those have since closed, obviously. As you guys know, this mall didn't have much left. And will not have nothing left in a matter of 50 days. Now, in 1998, Taubman, the original owners of this mall, sold the property to GM Pension Trust. So, I don't know who that company was, but then, by the way, guys, during this time, some parking lot space was devoted to become the Lakeforest Transit Center with a park and ride. So it was nice that people who were not mobile could have a bus station right at the mall. They could get to the mall and shop. It was a creative idea for the time. Now, in January 2000, the movie theater, which replaced the ice skating rink, closed. And later on that year in November, the food court, which was called Cafes in the Forest, it was introduced, and it opened up with 9 food court businesses. By the way, guys, here right now is the Sears space. With 9 food businesses, with roughly half of the food entries already in the mall, moved over to the mall. Now in 2003, Simon Property bought this mall. So this mall was doing really well for most of its life. Clearly, if Simon bought it, it was doing pretty well. As you guys know, Simon doesn't acquire dead malls. In 2006, the Macy's replaced the Hess, which you guys know went away in the May Company Federated merger. So you guys know that. Now I will say that that during this time with the Simon Property era as well, it was co-owned by. It was a manager being the Mills Corporation, which you guys know no longer exists, but they were co-ownership with Simon. Now, this company defaulted on their mortgage in 2011, and the mall was put up for sale at that point. But then the 2010 hits, and this mall really took a turn for the worst. By the way, guys, that Charlie Philly cheesesteak, which is shown here in the mall, it is now closed. From after my visit, I found out it closed about a week and a half after I left, 2 weeks or so. So, in 2012, the mall was doing okay, but in 2013, when it really started to get a downturn for the worst, and 5 Mile Capital Partners hired real estate developer to map out a long-term plan for the mall, which was the first step for the redevelopment. But in the meantime, they added in like a little child play area, which you guys probably saw in the video, in front of JCPenney, or it was JCPenney. Now, in 2017, Gaithersburg Lakeforest Mall, this mall was sold at auction for $19 million, which is a fraction of the $100 million price tag from just 5 years prior. And this is because the mall went into foreclosure at that time. So, which, by the way, did not include the anchors, and most of them were separately owned. In 2019, JCPenney announced they'd be closing here as part of a plan to close 27 stores in the United States. The store closed July 5th. Now, in 2019, later on, Lord & Taylor announced they were closing on September 5th, and they ended up closing in September. Now, the mall was already thinking about being redeveloped at this time, and they still had Sears and Macy's at the time in the way. Well, that didn't last very long, because in August of 2019, just 2 months after Lord & Taylor announced in June, Sears announced they were closing, and they closed on December 1st. And this left Macy's as the only anchor left at the time. Now, nothing happened during the pandemic besides more stores closing like everything else, because you guys know, malls certainly struggled at that point. But then in 2022, WRS Incorporated, which bought the mall, they announced that the mall would be demolished in 2024 with a more specific plan outlined earlier this year. Now, but some of the ideas was basically to add office buildings, townhouses, apartments, and parking garage, which is the reason why this mall is closing. So, but then in January of 2023, Macy's announced they'd be closing as part of a plan to close 4 stores nationwide. So that's not good. They were only closing 4 stores, and they decided this would be one of them. But at the same time, because of Macy's closing, the mall then announced that they were going to close earlier than planned. So they ended up closing a year earlier in 2020. So they're closing in 2023, like I said, in March 31st. Although something I found interesting is that the city council said that if for some reason the redevelopment, like I mentioned, falls through, that the mall could potentially be repurposed into a mall again. That's not going to happen. They're saying that, but sadly, that's not going to happen. Now, at the end, guys, I will throw some pictures into the mall to show the mall, back in its glory days, possibly. We'll see if I end up throwing those in or not. But anyway, guys, I'm going to stop talking now and let you guys enjoy the rest of this video. If you guys do, make sure to hit like and subscribe. I got plenty of new videos coming up soon, including from Baltimore, more videos from the Baltimore area as well as Cleveland, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, guys, I'm going to stop talking and throw music in the rest of the video. If you guys do enjoy, like I said, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you guys for the next video. Bye-bye, guys.